Technology doesn't destroy civilization. Ambition does. Fire didn't burn the world. Gunpowder didn't conquer empires. Those just were the tools. People holding them did. And now we're holding the most powerful fire we ever built, behaving like kids running with scissors, still convinced the problem is the tool. My name is Karlo Valentin Rodriguez. I grew in a place where technology didn't promise a future. It promised a paycheck if you were lucky. I didn't learn about technology in a university. I learned in the public libraries, in factories, in back alleys, and eventually in executive boardrooms. I have spent more than 20 years building technology companies. I have built systems that currently are used by millions. I belong to the first generation of kids that grew up with unsupervised internet access and somehow later ended up building the digital world. That should either make you hopeful or deeply uncomfortable. I've seen technology lift people out of poverty. I have seen it quietly erase them. I'm not here to tell you whether technology is good or bad. I'm here because I have lived in both sides, before leverage and after. And that's why I want to talk to you about fire. Prometheus was a fool, and humanity has proven him right ever since. We love that story of the Titan who looks at the lightning and says, I could use that. So he steals the fire from the gods and hands it to the humans. A very romantic story, very poetic, very naive. Naive because Prometheus didn't understand fire, but the gods did. They didn't punish him for stealing fire. They punished him for giving a weapon to a species that wasn't emotionally qualified to handle it. Fire, our first true piece of technology. And looking around this room, looking at you, I don't think we're qualified yet. We have mastered the tools, we have split the atom, decode the genome, but we haven't mastered ourselves. Because fire doesn't care about your why. Fire warms and fire burns. Fire cooks a family meal and burns down a village. Technology is the same. Technology is amoral. It doesn't choose sides. People do. And ambition behind it always votes first. Because ambition never looks in the mirror to ask if it's good, only if it's winning. I didn't learn this dynamic, the violent friction between human nature and technology, in a lab. I learned it in the dust. I was born in San Luis Potosí, an industrial city in northern Mexico. If you have ever heard about it, that's the point. It's the kind of place where ambition goes to get a factory job. Call it a win. In the 90s, globalization arrived overnight. Foreign factories, new jobs building products we couldn't afford, with labels in languages we could not understand. In my city, the internet arrived as a laminated sign in the public library. This computer is now connected to the internet. And 3 rules: 1 computer, 1 hour, don't break it. I didn't grow up with access. I grew up with limits, financial limits, health limits. My father was a construction worker, a strong man, but he was also fighting chronic kidney failure. Have you ever heard the sound of a dialysis machine? I hope you never have to, because it's a click, a whir, and a pump for hours. That's not a medical sound. That's mechanical. That's the sound of your time running out. And while that machine pump, my mom, a hairstylist, was cutting in the living room. She performed daily miracles, pulling dinner out of thin air and faith. keeping my brother and me alive on creativity and stubbornness. My mom is a real Mexican lady. When you work with limits, you don't become smart. You become alert. You have to. It's survival. Because even in places like these, systems crack. And if you're watching the wall while everyone is watching the floor, you can slip through the crack before it closes. 1998. I was 13. Walking home from school, I saw it in a back alley, in a trash can full of other people's problems. A video game magazine. Some faded, torn, but readable. On the cover, in bright yellow letters, basic course of internet. Inside, a basic HTML coding tutorial, just enough to catch my attention. That same day, I took it to the library, waited for my hour, sat at that one computer, and I typed my first lines of code. A blue link appeared, and I click, and it turned orange, and I smile. That sounds trivial. It's a hyperlink. But you have to understand, in my world, you did not control things. Things happen to you. But in that moment, I told the machine to do something, and the machine obeyed me, and I like it. Which should have been a warning sign, because giving a 13-year-old kid unsupervised internet access and a sense of control is how you create either an engineer or a future villain. So I kept coding, kept learning. Somehow, a local business heard about a kid who could make the internet. And they offered me 200 pesos to build their website. I was so excited, I delivered it in 2 days. I had just gotten my first freelance job. And honestly, I should have charged more. The business owner paid me and handed me the bill. I was speechless. That bill felt different. It felt heavy. Not like money, like leverage. I felt like Prometheus himself was handing me the fire and saying to me, "Here, kid, try not to burn yourself." Technology didn't change my life. No. I changed my life by learning to use technology as a weapon against destiny, against statistics. Because kids like me, the son of construction workers and hairstylists, we don't end up in stages like this. No. We end up on payrolls if we're lucky. In a country where social mobility is just 3%, that's not an opportunity. That's lottery. But the statistics don't account for kids who find fire in trash cans and decide to weaponize it. For the first time in my life, I wasn't defenseless. I had a weapon in my hands, and I wanted bigger, sharper. That's the moment I learned what ambition feels like. Because for me, ambition isn't greed. Ambition is the refusal to ever be powerless again. Technology does that. It creates new winners in places no one is looking. But also, it rearranges power. Every time we automate something, we're deciding who benefits and who disappears. Not later, now. And for a while, it worked. I became useful. Useful to people with money, but no understanding of the internet. Using that leverage, by 23, I sold my first technology company. And 7 years later, I sold the second one. 2 out of 2, perfect record. Then one day, I saw another magazine, this time in a newsstand. Entrepreneurs to watch on the cover. And there I was, in Forbes magazine, right next to kids with Ivy League degrees and trust funds, playing to be entrepreneurs. The crack I found at 13 had widened enough for me to walk through. But let's be honest. The system that never noticed my family, that never noticed my father dialysis machine and my mom struggling, had finally noticed me. Not because I was special, but because I was useful. Useful to people with power. Systems don't reward potential. They reward leverage. They don't care where you came from. They only care what you can produce. And when people stop producing, when they stop consuming, the system forgets them, not by accident, by design. The magazine that changed my life came from a trash can. The magazine with my face on it came from a system. Only one of those ever cared whether I survive. This is a magazine. I have kept it for 27 years. Not as a proof of my story, as a reminder. A reminder that systems crash, that the 3% lottery can be beaten, that will needed knowledge and leverage, kids from nowhere can end up everywhere. My parents never learned to code, but they taught me something more important. Limits of destiny. That was the only lesson that mattered. History has seen this before, how technology changed realities. I know it because I have lived it. Also, I have read it. And history has a funny way of rhyming. In 9th century China, Taoist monks, very peaceful guys, searching for an elixir for eternal life, mixed sulfur, charcoal, and saltpeter. They invented gunpowder. In their search to live forever, humans automated death. Gunpowder erased borders, broke down empires, created new kings and new losers. Gunpowder wasn't born from evil. It was born from optimism without wisdom. And that's where the parallel gets really uncomfortable. Because we are the monks now. We have a new game changer. Artificial intelligence is our generation's gunpowder. And this time, we know exactly what we are building. We know a good doctor with AI will perform miracles. And we know a bad politician with AI will scale tyranny. You have seen this already. You will see it again. Same tool, same fire. The only variable is ambition. People imagine Terminators kicking down doors. That's not how this ends. That's inefficient. And inefficiency is the one thing this technology doesn't tolerate. AI isn't coming for the genius. Genius is rare, messy, impossible to automate. What AI replaces is the mediocre, the copy-paste version of human effort. And that will be enough. Enough to collapse industries, to reshape societies already hanging by a thread. And that's why we're afraid. Not because AI will develop morals, but because it already has them. Our morals. We train it on entire history, every poem, every war, every love letter, but also every hate speech, every lie. We taught it that fear spreads faster than context. That truth is now open for bidding. And the highest bidder decides who wins. So we ask comforting questions. Will AI replace us? Will AI kill us? Comfort because they let us blame the tool. The question is harder. Who's holding it? And what does that ambition want? Every system you use, the infinite scroll is our mental dialysis machine. And we're pouring our soul one scroll at a time. Prometheus wasn't punished for stealing fire. He was punished for giving to humans without teaching them how to live with it. But the gods didn't take the fire back because they knew something. They knew we weren't broken. They knew we were unfinished. And they left us in that way on purpose. Because unfinished doesn't mean defective. It means capable of becoming. Every generation faces the same test. Not of intelligence, but of restraint. Fire, gunpowder, the internet, and now artificial intelligence. The fire is already lit. The question is whether it will spread. It will. The question is whether we will learn to live with it or let the ambition finish the story for us. History doesn't care what we believe. It only records what we allowed. We're unfinished. That was never the flow. That was always the point. And what we build next completes this story. Prometheus, he was a fool. The question is whether we still have to be.